Hello, this is Harry Payton. I am the host of two podcasts which I have broadcast on YouTube. The Payton's Perspective, 50 episodes ran of that, and most recently Payton's Pulpit. Both are archived and available on YouTube. Today, I announce a new podcast I am exceptionally proud of. Let me clear my throat. And it's called NAOMI'S Son. NAOMI'S Son. Naomi is my mother, my beloved mother, and I'll go into more of that. The title is based loosely on Tyler Perry's book. I think it's Nadine's son, Nadine's baby. But again, I based it loosely on that. No one called my mother Naomi, but I don't like when people mispronounce Payton and call it Patton. So I didn't want to say Payton's son because y'all mess it up. Naomi's son. I am proud to announce this podcast. This podcast brings in a new era for Harry Payton. I am so blessed that many of my information, a lot of my information, people are watching. I have had 100,000 people watch some of my material. I have 78,000 people who have played various videos and podcasts. So I'm becoming more and more where people will at least look at what I have to offer. This podcast is titled after my autobiography. My autobiography is 3/4 of the way, more than 3/4, but it's almost finished, about another 150 pages. That's not a lot for a writer. But my autobiography is called Naomi's Son, born in Harlem, raised in Newark, in Newark projects. Do it again, Payton. My book is entitled Naomi's Son, born in Harlem, raised in Newark projects. My journey to becoming CEO of HPINC. This book details a lot of the problems and things I had to overcome, but it also highlights a lot of the good things, the birth of my children, the birth of my grandchildren, and it will just be a legacy book. It's not a book that I'm looking to sell a zillion copies, though I would like to sell a zillion copies. But my greatest influence in my life, my greatest influence, was my beloved mother, Naomi F. Payton. And my mother was a stay-at-home mom who loved her children. She and our dad, James F. Payton Sr., raised 12 children together. My dad was a truck driver. We did not interact with him as much as our mother because, again, she woke us up in the morning. She saw us when we came home from school. She tucked us in at bed. She scolded us and everything that had to be done. Now, my mother died at the early age of 16. Wow. My mother did not die at the early age of 16. My mother died at the early age of 46. I was 16. And during those 16 years, she became my greatest influence. The book details it. My podcast will give many of those tips. And it will talk about my mother. Simultaneously today, I have another podcast. So nice, I'm doing it twice. And this one is called I Thought You Might Like to Know. I Thought You Might Like to Know. My pastor and I, Reverend Cornelius Wesley Martin, talk a lot. And one time he said that to me, I thought you might like to know. I said, Reverend, Don't mean to interrupt. But that's the title of a new book. That book will come out sometime soon with God's blessing. But I thought you might like to know, and you know that I could bring you a mirage of information through there. So welcome to my new podcast, NAOMI'S Son. I am Naomi and James's son, but Naomi was my greatest influence, and I'm naming this podcast in her honor. My book, soon to be published. It's available. You can read it if you like, but it's a legacy book. It's for my family. So if no one ever reads it, I want them to know from the day I was born until right now, because God has granted me life, what has taken place. The trials and tribulations of being raised, born in Harlem, raised in the projects, Scudder Home projects of Newark, New Jersey, going off, I attended Central High School, going off to the American University Eagle, which you get, our colors were red, white, and blue. You imagine the shock when I got there and saw a sea of white, if you know what I mean. And the education levels were different. I graduated in the top of my class. I was just a sand on the desert in that school. I talk about the way that affected me and much more in my life. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. Naomi's son. I am Naomi's son. To God be the glory.